The League of Women Voters Flint area would like to thank Communities First Incorporated for their assistance with recording Flint area candidates for office. And we also want to thank Flint Beat for assisting with these forums. We want to thank you as well for tuning in to the Flint School Board Forum. Unlike legislative forums, each candidate was interviewed separately and no time limit was imposed. Like the legislative forums, however, candidates were instructed to speak only about their own qualifications and not about other candidates or political parties. 15 candidates filed for a seat on the board. All were invited to do an interview. 13 responded. 12 completed an interview and one was unable to due to a family medical situation. 5 seats, and therefore 5 votes, are available. You may wish to take some notes as you decide which 5 you will select.
Got it.
Okay, Mr. Luna, we're going to begin our 6 questions with what has prepared you for these responsibilities?
Yeah. So I'll just talk about myself, both my personal and professional experience. I'm from Flint, Michigan, born and raised. One of the reasons I chose to attend Michigan State University and being involved in their James Madison College program was my education. I couldn't read until I was in 4th grade. My mother changed schools and it kind of like flipped my trajectory as far as my student achievement. But when I went to Michigan State, I studied public policy with a focus on economics and educational policy. And I thought I was going to law school, but I figured it'd be beneficial to have some kind of classroom experience. So through Teach for America, I became a certified K-12 Spanish teacher and also elementary education. So I taught in Chicago, 2 years in Detroit doing K through 8 Spanish, and about a year and a half in Flint doing elementary education. And I also got my degree from the University of Ann Arbor in urban education and urban pedagogy. So I think my classroom experience is very key. I spent 3 years working in 5 states, doing educational policy, including Michigan. During that time also, I served on a charter school board in Southfield, Michigan. I earned my Master of Business Administration and Marketing, Innovation Management. And I've always kept my ear close when it comes to educational issues, both from a practice as a practitioner, but also from a policy perspective. In my current role, I work in economic development as a manager, and I manage the city and county's attraction efforts when it comes to new capital, investments, and jobs. So all that to say, I think my personal experiences, my educational background, and my professional experience give me a pretty good grounded view as a board member. Also, I'm very
Okay.
passionate about students in the city as well, so that drives my candidacy as my passion.
Okay. Do you have ideas on how to maintain or increase student enrollment?
Yes, I mean, I think that's the biggest issue because enrollment is tied to our funding. And one of the biggest ways that we can begin to attract and then retain the students we have is by having a better board with better leadership. I mean, the current board is dysfunctional. And when you have such dysfunction, it not only scares away parents, families, and teachers, but it doesn't really attract folks who want to invest in our school system, either via their time as a staff, as a parent, or as a potential donor support programmings. But one of the best ways we could do that is, of course, having a new board. There's a unique chance to elect 5 new members this fall, but also we have to have better facilities. And that goes for both our existing buildings, but also our 22 properties that are blights in our neighborhood. So we have 22 vacant properties. Some have structure, some don't. So getting that kind of taken off our books, either through sale and or demolition, or redevelopment, but really having better facilities, especially in new high school, I think will begin to attract new people to our district. Because I mean, there's 15,000 students roughly who live in the city of Flint, and less than 3,000 or right around 3,000 choose to attend our schools. So it really is a trust issue.
Okay, thank you. Do you have, excuse me. How is the role of a school board member different from that of a superintendent?
Well, first off, they pay the superintendent a full salary and package of benefits, but really, as a board trustee, you're a volunteer member, but your job is to govern. Whereas a superintendent, much like a city manager, their job is to run the day-to-day operations of the district. As a board member, I believe your job is to govern and create the environment to help not only him be successful, but the staff and students as well.
Okay. Do you have any other responsibilities that might interfere with your attendance at meetings?
I don't think so. In my current role, I have a very public-facing job, and it lends to our role as an elected official. At my company, we have several folks who serve on different boards, commissions, and I don't think it'd be an issue. I don't have any children. I am engaged, but I think I'll be able to compartmentalize my different responsibilities when it comes to my professional and personal life.
Okay. Um, so have you or will you be taking the school board training?
Yes, of course. I mean, I always believe in continuous learning. One of my favorite books by a guy by the name of Stephen Covey, it's called The Seven Habits of Highly Effective People. And habit number seven is sharpening the saw. So always learning new things and kind of keeping you up to date on what's going on in the world and your career. So I definitely will take the board training.
Okay. And the last question, what do you think are the most important issues that Flint schools are facing?
I would say some are cross-sectional. So number one, enrollment. Um, that's tied with our budget and finance issues. But my priorities are really creating safe and learning-centric facilities, uh, kind of having robust wraparound services. So things not only for students and staff, but things for families and members of the community. So kind of really revitalizing the whole community school model. Number three, fight for more equitable funding. So as a board member, you don't really have as much of a say when it comes to per pupil funding, but having a good relationship with the legislature and our local legislators can help us get more funding for our students, especially after the Flint water crisis. But also, there's so much student learning that's been lost because of COVID. So funding is key to helping close that gap. Fourth, advocating for a more engaging, inclusive curriculum, where that be how we teach our students history and how that's honestly taught, but also having diverse programs as relates to skill trades, world languages, and also how much autonomy we give teachers and school leaders to teach their subjects because they're the experts, not the board members. And then finally, empowering educators. I think it's worth doing an analysis of how much teachers are paid when it comes to charter schools in the city, neighboring school districts, but also very similar districts with similar demographics like a Pontiac or a Saginaw, and really seeing how we can increase compensation, keep our current teachers, but also attract new teachers who want to stay and work in our schools. But again, that goes to not only just compensation, that goes into having better support from the board or the board not getting in the way of teaching, but also having better buildings. I mean, I coached cross country and track this past spring and then last fall. And I did it at a school, and the school building wasn't in the best shape from the parking lot to the building, and students and teachers had to be in there all day. And really, I think that's the key to a lot of this. So, real quickly, safe and learning centric facilities, robust wraparound services, equitable school funding, engaged and inclusive curriculum, and then empowering our teachers and staff. Those are my
Okay.
priorities.
Well, thank you very much for joining us today. As I've been telling um, our participants, we really appreciate the fact that you're stepping up to want to serve the community and being willing to be part of the process so that the voters can actually see the individual candidates and know who they are.
Can I say one
Sometimes
more
it's,
thing?
go ahead.
Yeah, so as I mentioned, there are 5 seats up, 3 full 6-year terms, a partial 4-year term, and a 2-year partial term. So when I decided to run back in March of 2022 this year, I really wanted to get a team together to run as a slate. So I'm running for the 6-year partial term, but also Emily Dorr and Melody Rutherford are also running for those seats. But for the 4-year partial term, um, Teray King Jr. is running, and for the 2-year partial term, Michael Clack is running. So I think for a good team, I would love voters to really take time to really study us and vote for us and support our slate.
Okay, well, thank you for being with us today.
Thank you. Have a good day.